This is Straight Talk with Atlanta native Grreg Fann, the preacher man, and his sidekick Shanan Jones. Frank discussions of issues affecting the ATL, Fulton County, the state of Georgia, the nation, and around the world. And now, here they are, live and in living color, the team of Jones and Fann, the Preacher Man.
All right, welcome again to another edition of Straight Talk with yours truly, Grreg Fann, the Preacher Man, and Bishop Aaron B. Lackey. Shanan is not with us again today, just so you're taking care of family business. So let's keep Shanan and his wife and his family in prayer. Let's keep them in prayer. And you know, Bishop is a good stand-in.
I'm a stand-in.
You stand-in.
No.
Even after last week, you said you wanted to name the program to you.
Yeah, I thought we had changed the name of the program.
No, you still a stand-in.
So we didn't change.
We
didn't change the name of the program.
Stand-in.
Well, listen. Hey, welcome to Straight Talk with Bishop Aaron Lackey and Bishop Grreg Fann. It's so good to be coming your way today.
Stand-in. No, but we're glad that you were.
Good to be here, man. Thanks for the opportunity.
You know, we have a great program today, exciting program today as always. We're going to have the gentleman who is presently State Representative, House District 62, William Boddie, who is running for Labor Commissioner, and you will hear him speak on the changes that they're trying to do with the Labor Commissioner's office. As many of you may know, who tried to get your unemployment check during the pandemic, the present Labor Commissioner wasn't paying anybody. People lost their homes, people lost their cars, people lost a lot of things because they could not get that unemployment money. And Representative Boddie, and as well as other representatives, tried to get him to do what was right about the people, but he wouldn't. So now you'll see Representative Boddie later talking about now the certain legislators, not to be named, but they got an R by their name. They want to take the powers from the Labor Commissioner's office and put it into the hands of the governor's office, who will appoint someone to actually really administer the duties of the Labor Commissioner.
I mean, they did the same thing with one of their own people with the Secretary of State office.
They did.
So if they did it with one of their own, they don't mind doing it with somebody on the other side of the aisle.
I mean, hey, this right here is crazy, because if you really think about it, they did the same thing with the previous governor in terms of appointing a state person to do the school board.
Yeah.
And we don't know who that person is. We don't know what that person do, but we don't know how many people in his office, their office. We don't know anything about that office. They put that up under the governor to appoint somebody. So, I mean, this is just getting crazy. You're taking duties from constitutional officers, people who are elected, are putting other people, appointed people, over people who are elected.
Yeah.
That the people elect. This is just going too far, and something needs to be said about that. But Boddie will talk about that and give his dissertation on that. and of course, Miss C will be here with Church News. We'll have Black History Fact with none other than James Broom, and he'll be talking about the Reverend Abernathy, who just celebrated his birthday on the 11th. He would have been 90-something years old if he was still alive, but we'll be talking about him, and we're going to talk about these gas prices. We're going to talk about what's going on with these gas prices and what's going on in Ukraine. Bishop and I are going to have a lot of dialogue. We're going to be talking about a lot of things, and you just stay tuned and don't you go nowhere. We'll be back, and we'll see you on the other side after Miss C, and then after Representative Boddie.
Well, hello there. This is Miss C with your 3-minute news blast or more. First off, I want to say hello to Grreg Fann and Shanan Jones. And sometimes I say hey to Shanan and he's not actually in the studio, but just know that I'm saying hey to him wherever he might be, okay? All right, now I've got some great news for you. Listen, a place of divine possibilities awaits you at St. John AME Church. They're at 305 West Campbellton Street in Fairburn. Sunday morning worship begins at 10 a.m., Sunday school at 9 a.m. I used to love Sunday school, and I still do. I still attend Sunday school. It is a great place to learn and grow. Now, to find out more about St. John AME, you can go to their website. That's stjohnamecfairburn.com. That's stjohnamecfairburn.com. The pastor's Pastor Ramsey. On March 25th at 6 p.m., it's time for Friday Night Lights. And it's going to be held in the Fellowship Hall of New Grant Chapel AME Church on Hendricks Avenue in East Point. Now, to sign up, you must send an email to faithworksngc@gmail.com. That's faithworksngc@gmail.com. Now, the topic on March 25th is going to be Just Got Paid. Where did all my money go? And it's going to be with Barbara J. Speaks. She will be facilitating that. And there's going to be a lot of fun and a lot of food. Chick-fil-A and Starbucks, and they're going to have gift card giveaway. They're going to have pizza and a lot of other stuff. That's on March 25th, 6 p.m., Friday Night Lights at New Grant Chapel, AME. Okay. Now, Greater True Vine Church of God in Christ at 13191 Veterans Memorial Highway in Douglasville welcomes you each Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Sunday school begins at 10 a.m. They also now have Bible study on Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. It used to be on Wednesdays, but they've changed it to Tuesdays. The pastor is Elder Morgan Green, and everyone is welcome. My good friend, Elder Charles Ransom, is a member there, and he invites you out too. Listen, if you have any news that you'd like for us to announce, just send it to me at straighttalknews1362@gmail.com. That's straighttalknews1362@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to announce it and let everybody know what's going on in your part of the world. And listen, do me a favor, and on your screen you'll see a button that says subscribe. Just click that button and also hit the like button while you're at it, and we would certainly appreciate it. Okay? And that's going to do it for Miss C on Straight Talk News. Until next time, now you take care.
Well, today we're going to hear from Representative William Boddie, who represents the House District 62, talking about this labor commissioner bill that they're trying to strip the powers from the labor commissioner's office. We know that the present labor commissioner, he did not do things in a proper fashion in terms of making sure that the centers were open, making sure that people got their unemployment. A lot of people lost their homes, lost their cars, and lost things because they did not get their unemployment checks in a timely fashion because of this present labor commissioner. But Commissioner Boddie, Representative Boddie rather, who is running for labor commissioner, is saying that these things, this is wrong to take those powers from anybody that will be a labor commissioner in the future, to take their constitutional duties away from them or their ability to run their office as they see fit. Former labor commissioner Michael Thurman set up those centers, and he's going to lay it out in terms of why they should not take those powers away from future labor commissioners. So we're going to listen to Representative Boddie. He's going to speak to us now, and he's going to talk about those things that he feels that they should not take those powers away. Representative Boddie, he's going to join us.
To HB 1331. First and foremost, I would say that the speaker was absolutely correct. The Georgia Department of Labor has had many challenges that we have all had to deal with and help our constituents to deal with, especially during these 2 years of the pandemic. However, I would be voting yes for this legislation only for one reason I'm going to be voting no, is that this legislation does not have a sunset. Being that it does not have a sunset, this bill will affect General Assemblies and also the Department of Labor, the Commissioner, into perpetuity. Now, I just want to give an example of the reason why we need a sunset. We have elections coming up. All of us in this room are going to have to run for re-election. We're going to have every statewide constitutional officer up for re-election, including the governor, including the labor commissioner. And so, with that being said, why does the labor commissioner of future generations and future years have to suffer because this current labor commissioner did not perform his constitutional duties? And I recall last year, SB 156, bipartisan piece of legislation that pretty much every member in this chamber voted for. That was the Labor Chief Officer Bill, basically an oversight bill. An oversight bill to have the General Assembly and also the Governor's Office to have this current Labor Commissioner to report every Monday on how many claims are being filed, how many claims are being paid out, how many appeals have been filed, how many appeals have been heard. Every Monday, this General Assembly and this Speaker of the House would have gotten a report. But the governor vetoed that legislation. And the reason why, the governor stated it was an overstep of this General Assembly to basically have the constitutional officer, which is the Department of Labor Commissioner, report to the General Assembly. It's a violation of separation of powers. Executive branch, legislative branch. So I'm trying to find out what changed within a year. I'm trying to find out why on page 3 of SB 156, line 48, section H, this code section shall stand repealed on December the 31st, 2022, unless continued in effect by the General Assembly prior to that date. Why does this legislation not have a sunset? I would vote for this bill if the sunset was December the 31st, 2022. This bill will take away some serious powers from a constitutional officer. One of those powers is to operate the career centers across this state, the one-stop shops. That power will be codified and taken away from the Department of Labor Commissioner. Also, the Department of Labor Commissioner will have to basically transfer any funds that goes into the Unemployment Security Administration Fund on line 50, have the money deposited to the Department of Labor Commissioner, and whenever the governor's designee, who is a political appointee and not an elected official, transfer the money into that designee's account. So, we have a federal act that states traditionally across the state, across this country, traditionally the Department of Labor Commission is the one distributing these federal funds. The governor's designee is not elected by the citizens of this state. The governor designee has to answer only to one person, the governor, and not the citizens of the state of Georgia. So I'm going to ask you to vote no, because this is not bad policy at all. we need to have some coverage over this Department of Labor and this labor commissioner, because we all had to pick up the phone and figure out how can we help our constituents when no one from the Department of Labor would pick up the phone and answer the call of the constituents of this state. And we're still answering those calls today, Republican and Democrat. But I'm just asking that we're fair to the next labor commissioner and allow that person to do their job and prove themselves worthy based upon the citizens of the state that vote them into office. I would vote yes if you had a sunset of December 31st, 2022, but I'll be voting no because you don't. Mr. Speaker, I'll yield the well with no questions.
Well, Representative Boddie has spoken, and he's laid out his case. And as we hear this, we see that these powers are being taken away, as I said earlier, like from Mr. Reisenberger, Secretary of State, who's a constitutional officer. So the General Assembly, when do they stop taking powers away from constitutional officers? Why they're not taking powers away from the utility, the power of people, the people who oversee power? Why they power utility bills and stuff like that? Why they're not taking those powers away? Why certain officers' powers are being stripped and taken away? And those are positions that have to help the people, or make sure we have fair elections under the control of our constitutional officers who we elect. Whether we voted for them or not voted for them, but they were voted for by the people of this state. There's a lot of wheeling and dealing going on down under that demon dome. Yes, I call it a demon dome because a lot of evil people down there doing evil things to good people. Pay attention to this bill, because this bill has to go to the Senate, and the Senate has to pass it because crossover day has happened. And so the bill is now in the Senate's hands, so the Senate's got to vote on it. The Senate vote on it. Then the governor will possibly in July, when I can normally, he signs the bill in July. We'll see if he'll sign it before July. But traditionally, most bills have been signed in July into law, right, to be enacted as this bill is set by December the 31st of 2022. But we must watch what they're doing under that demon dome and those bills that's coming out that's affecting the lives of people and taking powers away from people that have constitutional responsibility. And they're changing the Constitution with a vote of legislators who we voted in to control other people who we vote in. So, hey, keep tuned and keep on watching Straight Talk with your truly Grreg Fann, the preacher man, and Shanan E. Jones.
Boy, that Miss C is something else. It's just something else.
But she's a real sweetheart, man. And
oh Lord, there you go.
But I mean, I've been knowing Cynthia a long time.
Not longer than I have.
No, not as long as you. I mean, I'm not nearly as old as you, so I mean,
wait a minute. We playing the old jokes now. We playing the old jokes now. Let me just tell you, y'all young bucks, I'm telling you, y'all gonna get old one day.
I want to get old. Okay, that's why I try to be nice to you. The Bible tells me to honor my elders, and I want to be nice to you so I can live old. And then when I get to where you are now, hopefully somebody will come along and be looking out for me. Like I try to look out for you.
They already call you Unc. What's up, Unc? So you know you're getting there. Huh?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. And you look good though for your age, man.
Thank you.
How old are you, man? If I can ask.
If you can ask, I'll tell you. I am in my 70s. So I thank God.
Yeah.
And I'm in my 70s.
In your 70s. That's
I
good.
am in my 70s and soon to be 72.
72?
Yeah.
Well, I'm telling you, you don't look a day over 71.
How did I know that was coming? How did I know that was coming?
I'm just saying you look good, man.
Let me tell you something.
You look good.
That is a Lackey's trait. That's a Lackey trait, a Lackey family trait. Don't ever tell them your age. Because you tell them your age, they gonna always tell you don't look a day over the age you are. So just watch that. But listen, thank God for Miss C. I mean, I've been with Cynthia a lot. You know, when Cynthia and I used to do New Looking Gospel.
Boy, man, you going on back there, ain't you, with WYZ?
WYZ, and then we did that program on AIB.
New Looking Gospel. I started with Jerry Thompson, and then Cynthia came in after Jerry passed and worked with me. We had people like Rodale Lewis and Bob Grissom, who also was on the program with us. But me and Cynthia was kind of like, we kind of, had the right chemistry working together. And we've been working together for a lot of years. So, I'm always going to talk about Cynthia. So she knows it, and people who watch the program know Cynthia will not escape the raft of Grreg Fann.
Oh, yeah. But she does her craft very well.
She does. She has.
She really does.
Can I tell you a story about Cynthia, and then we'll get into Boddie? Cynthia came down when I was working at WYG, and for the class, they were doing their reunion. And one of our classmates asked if we could announce it. And I said, oh, sure, we can announce it. I said, but you can come down here and cut it yourself. And Val, that was her name. Val, her daddy used to pastor Dixie Hill Baptist Church.
Okay.
Right, I'm certain, about certain. And so Val asked could she do it, and I said, yeah, listen, you can come do it. So she came down there, and she did a magnificent job on cutting that commercial. So I said, have you ever thought about going on the radio? She said, oh, no. I said, well, you got the voice for it. You really got the voice for it. And she really has the voice for it. She really do. And she's very gifted and talented. I met with Cynthia a lot, but she's gifted and she's talented.
Yeah, she really is.
And, we appreciate her here on Straight Talk.
Yeah.
But I'm still gonna let you have it. but Representative Boddie laid that thing out in a very eloquent way and talked about the stripping and the takings of power. If they're doing that to these individuals and who are constitutional officers, how low would they dig down into the duties of commissioners or city council people in terms of rewriting their charters? They can, because they have the power to rewrite charters of any government agencies in the state.
Yeah.
So how low would they go with that? You see what they're doing with the voting and the powers they're taking away from the election board, which is governed by counties. So you got to watch what's really, really, really going on with that. But I want to talk a little bit now, Bishop, before we go into Black History Facts. I want to talk a little bit about those individuals like Reverend Abernathy and others. And Brother Broomwald would say, we can't forget these people. And we can't, because they laid it out for us to be able to do the things that we're doing now. But we're going back, Bishop.
Yeah. And one thing I love about you now, you cut up and you have fun, but when it comes down to remembering those that have paved the way for us, that's one of the few times I always see you just get serious. And I love it, man. Every time I go to your church and go to your office, and the pictures you have of you and Reverend Abernathy, and a lot of people may not realize Reverend Abernathy was Bishop Fann's spiritual father, and that was his pastor. And so, I just love to see this side of you too, when you really start thinking about those who paved the way, because actually you're doing the same thing. You've done that for my generation and for generations after me. And then you, the late Reverend Love, and so many others instilled in me that it's incumbent upon me to do the same thing for those generations behind me. And so I just commend you, man, and never let him die. Just never let your pastor die, because he was a great man. And I
won't let him die, because, as you said, that spirit is in me.
Yeah. Because
I grew up under that tutelage, and I would hope that many people who are listening to me today, are listening, watching this program, will understand the significance of what he did and the sacrifices he, along with Dr. King, Jose Williams, John Lewis, and so many others, C.T. Vivian, Y.T. Walker, and the list goes on and on and on, and those who are unsung heroes that people don't even know about. But they gave up their freedom. They gave up their time, their talent. They sacrificed things with their families in order to be able for us to have the right to vote. And that's what I want to talk about today, is about voting and the importance of voting. But we'll talk about that on the other side when we come back after James Broom and Black History Facts. And the Preacher Man right here on Straight Talk with Black History Facts with Brother James Broom.
This is civil rights activist and Baptist minister Ralph Abernathy. Ralph David Abernathy was born March 11, 1926, on his family's 500-acre farm in Linden, Alabama. Ralph Abernathy attended Linden Academy, and while there he led his first demonstration, and that was to improve the livelihood of his fellow students. Ralph Abernathy was a platoon sergeant during World War II. Afterwards, he enrolled at Alabama State University, where he was elected president of the Student Council and also led a hunger strike in order to raise the quality of food served on campus. Ralph Abernathy was ordained and preached his first sermon on Mother's Day 1948, and in 1950, Ralph Abernathy became the first African American to host his own radio show in Montgomery, Alabama. Later that fall, he enrolled at Atlanta University to further his education, earning his master's degree in 1951. It was also in 1951 that Ralph Abernathy became senior pastor of the First Baptist Church, the largest African American church in Montgomery. In 1952, Ralph Abernathy married Juanita Jones. Together, they had 5 children, and regretfully, their first child died 2 days after birth. In 1954, Ralph Abernathy met and mentored Martin Luther King Jr. This resulted in the two becoming lifelong friends. In December of 1955, Rosa Parks was arrested for refusing to give up her seat to a white man. Ralph Abernathy, Dr. King, the NAACP, and a host of other pastors and community leaders collaborated to create the Montgomery Improvement Association, which then organized the now famous Montgomery Bus Boycott, which garnered national attention and resulted in the U.S. Supreme Court decision that bus segregation was unconstitutional. Ralph Abernathy's home was bombed not long after that boycott. His family barely escaped with their lives. In February of 1957, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference was formed in New Orleans, Louisiana, and on August 8, 1957, held its first convention in Montgomery, Alabama, with Dr. King as president. Ralph Abernathy and Dr. King were both jailed over 17 times together while spearheading the successful SCLC nonviolent movement throughout this country. On April 4, 1968, while Ralph Abernathy was preparing to come out of their shared room at the Lorraine Hotel, Dr. King was shot while standing just outside on the balcony. After Dr. King's funeral, Ralph Abernathy became president of Southern Christian Leadership Conference, and after completing the march began by Dr. King for the rights of the sanitation workers in Memphis, Ralph Abernathy led the Poor People's Campaign, not only in Washington, D.C., but also led a little-known protest against NASA and its Apollo space program, acknowledging what we can do for space exploration, we demand we do for starving people. In 1973, Ralph Abernathy and the SCLC negotiated a peace settlement at Wounded Knee between the FBI and the American Indian Movement, which was led by Russell Means and Dennis Banks. In 1977, Ralph Abernathy resigned from his role as president of SCLC and ran unsuccessfully for Georgia's 5th congressional district seat, while also founding the nonprofit Foundation for Enterprise Economic Development, which offered managerial and technical training, along with trade opportunities and much more for unemployed, underprivileged African American workers. After a controversial book was published, and after a very controversial endorsement of Ronald Reagan for president in 1980, Ralph Abernathy died April 17, 1990. He was 64 years old. That's Ralph David Abernathy. They forget all about him, but we won't.
It's been Black History Facts with Brother James Broom right here on Straight Talk. Join us each and every Friday from 7 p.m. until 8 p.m. with yours truly, Grreg Fann, the Preacher Man, and Shanan E. Jones. And do share these Black History Facts with your family and friend, and do tune in to Straight Talk. Won't you? It ain't nothing but straight talk. Well, I tell you, Bishop, I tear up when I see these things that he did. A lot of things I didn't know, that he did those things. I really didn't. I'll tell you a story. We went to Chicago. One of the ministers of our church, Donald, Dr. Howard's cousin, Donald was being installed as a pastor.
Howard?
Yeah, right, okay. Apostle Howard, his cousin Donald, was being installed in a church in Chicago, Park Forest, Illinois, rather. And we went up there, and he took the church. He took the church to Chicago to install one of his sons. That's the kind of person he was. So when we get there, I carried this briefcase. Guys used to fight over who gonna carry the pack, who gonna carry the briefcase. So I carried this briefcase, right? I did it a lot of times. And so when we were going into the hotel, and they had a red carpet, going into the hotel, and people just greeted him at the door and everything. And I was like, okay, man, what's going on? Because I didn't know the importance of what he was doing. I didn't. He was just my pastor, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm carrying his briefcase. They were asking for his autograph, and I'm walking in, right, carrying his briefcase, and one of the people said, "Can I get your autograph?" I said, "Well, I'm just with him. He's my pastor." They said, "But you with him?" I gave him my autograph.
Well, if anybody wants my autograph, I'm with Grreg, and I got my pen ready. Anybody want an autograph? I'm ready.
Yeah, but I tear up really, because I know, and I got some other stories I could tell. And one of the heartbreaking stories was one day I went over to his house, and we stopped. He stopped at a right there on Bankhead Highway at the time, at that store, 7-Eleven store, and he wanted to make a call. He needed to make a call. I don't know what the call was about, but he went up to the phone booth. That's when you used to have to, pay the phone, and a young man was on the phone, and he asked the young man, could he use the phone because he needed to make a very important call, and he would give him his money back for the call. And the young man was totally disrespectful. He told him he didn't care who he was. He wasn't getting off the phone. That was a heartbreaker for me. And we see that today. Yeah. The lack of respect for those that are in authority, the lack of respect that those who give so much and so many, they help so many. And we'll talk, about this thing with the teachers and the disrespect that kids have for those that are in authority. And the times that we live in now is really unbelievable. If you really think about it, kids totally are under control. They run the home. We talked about that last week. They run the home, they run the school, and but they ain't running the church. They ain't running the church. Take your bad child home with you, because we ain't gonna have it in the house of God. But it's just amazing, man, what we've come to, especially black people. Because our parents didn't listen to George Brothers. There wasn't no time out. They gave some time out. And you'd have to go outside and pick your own switches,
They gave some, don't
bring them little bit ones back either.
Yeah, no, my grandma used to be so funny. Go out there and bring 3 of them. And then she'd sit there and plait them together, boy, braid them together, and weigh you out.
but they taught us to respect those people that were in authority.
Yes, sir.
And that's what we're lacking now, is this whole thing of respecting people in authority. We're giving too much authority to the kids and too much power of the kids over those that are in authority.
Yeah.
Really, and it's really heartbreaking to see what we've come to as a people. So I'm gonna let you talk a little bit about that, and your views and opinion on it. But I got some other stuff I want us to just talk about.
Well, I don't really have anything extra to add to that. I mean, you've encapsulated it all. Kids are out of control, and it's an indictment on those of us that are adults. It's an indictment on the current parents. I think every generation of parent wants to make things better for their child than it was for them, and that's natural, that's normal.
Right.
But oftentimes we find ourselves, we receive whippings, and so when we had children, we wanted to try something different. And
some of us, not all.
Not all. No, I was not one of those who tried anything different. But I'm just seeing that in society, they're trying something different because they feel like the whippings were not necessary. And now we are at this place where, like you stated a few moments ago, the children control everything. The parents can't discipline the children at home without fear of a child calling 911. And I'm in no way, shape, form, or fashion endorsing or condoning abuse. You see what I'm saying? That's not what I'm talking about.
Two different things.
Yeah, totally different. Mm-hmm. But the Bible, if we're going to really preach and teach the Bible, it talks about how we should not spare that rod, and that rod of correction will steer that child in the right correction. And so I'm just seeing it, man. It's just a lack of discipline at home. When I came to school, I think I'm that last generation where they could even discipline us in schools. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget, I had this teacher. Is it all right to call her name on here?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, but I'm sure she's dead now.
Yeah.
But her name was Miss Bunny Morrow.
Right.
And she was personal friends of one of my aunts.
Oh.
And man,
that was
oh my goodness. And so if I did anything, it didn't matter what grade I was in. I wasn't even in Miss Morrow's class some of the times. and they just called her, and she called my aunt, and my aunt would give her permission. My aunt I didn't even live with my aunt.
Right. Because when we came up, your aunt, your uncle, your grandma, your granddaddy, these kids' parents not only want their mom and daddy to say nothing to the children.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really crazy.
Yeah, but it was amazing. But she called my aunt. My aunt was, well, you need to handle that, and don't worry about it. I'm gonna call his mom and daddy. and so she'd get me at the school. By the time I got home, my mom would get me. Then when my dad got home, he'd get me. But it would cause you to act like you had sense at school.
Absolutely.
And I don't know, man. We could just go on and on about this, but these kids are really out of control. Lack of discipline.
Yeah. And we don't teach them to. When I say we, the generation don't teach them to respect, because respect is what's due an adult. Yeah. I mean, I know some adults are disrespectful.
Yeah.
And they're very disrespectful. But you, as a child, you don't handle that disrespect. You tell your parent, let that parent handle that disrespect. Yeah. And that's where we were raised.
Yeah. My wife was telling me about an incident on, she works with the school system as a bus driver.
Right.
And she was telling me about a second grader. And the boy, he didn't want to go to school that morning, and his mom was out there at the bus stop with him, and the mom made him get on the bus, and he turned around on the bus, and second grade, told his mom, F-U-B.
What?
Second grade.
Oh my God.
You're like, what in the world?
Oh my God. Jesus.
So if he would say that to his mama,
you know he was telling them teachers.
I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just crazy, man.
It's crazy.
So I just don't know. I just don't know where we're going. Another thing too, a lot of people don't understand is with the elementary schools, there's a direct correlation with delinquency in elementary schools and the amount of prison beds that they're going to build in the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
And see, and a lot of people don't understand that. So I don't like to be a part of conspiracy theories.
Right.
But it's almost like the powers that be, especially with some of these private prisons, it's almost like they are warning our kids to be out of control because it's going to guarantee that they're going to be making money down the road with free labor in prisons. And so, we just got to get this together. Yeah, got to get it together.
Well, a hint to the wise ought to be sufficient. So if you're listening to this program today, you need to think about what you're doing and how you can help and how we can help to make about a change, bring about a change. Because we're preaching and we're teaching and we're telling people, but then people will act according because they're like, I do what I want to do. You don't tell me what to do. But it's sad the situation that we're in, but we are in it. But as we talk about voting now, it's important that people know that it's time to vote, and it's time to get May 24th. That's when they're going to have the election. In terms, you'll check to decide who will represent you as a Democrat or Republican, and then you'll have the actual election in November. So you need to get engaged and look at these people that are running and stop looking at people and say, I'm voting for them because they got an I behind their name. Find out what they're doing, how they're passing laws that are affecting you. I was looking at this thing, Bishop, and I was the governor now. And they always do stuff, when it's time for them to run to get people to vote for. The governor now is saying, the same governor who said, as Boddie said, that what they were trying to do last year with the labor commissioner, it was improper. But this year, he pushed it to get it done, to take those powers away. Oops. That same governor. But now he is, and I'm no way endorsing him or deciding that he ought to be or ought not to be. I'm just saying what the facts are. This same governor now is saying he wants to suspend the gasoline tax.
Oh yeah,
and they're moving to do it. But listen at the irony of this thing. But they want to do it up until May. Up until May. When is the election?
Yeah.
For who will be the Republican nominee for governor. So if you give people relief until May, people are like, oh, he's done a great job. He cut our gas prices. Well, but after May, they're going back up. They're going back up after May. So, I want people to see what's going on, look at what's going on, think about what's going on, look at those people running, what they're doing, and how they're affecting your life and making changes and making your life difficult. And
then on the state level, they will try to act like the decision that they're making on the state level was not influenced by the national. But, Senator Warnock, he was the first one to begin talking about that on the national level, cutting that federal gas tax. And so now you got states that are doing the same thing all over the country, but they'll never give him any kudos. They'll never say that he gave them an idea.
No, they won't. Because this party policy politics is too much, man.
It really is.
I think we need to get rid of parties and just elect people. You know what I'm saying? Just elect people who doing what's right for the people, and not get up there and doing stuff that for self-aggrandizement or selfish reason for themselves. So let's do that. Let's look at who's running from state level, federal level, county level, and in the city races, city level. But let's talk about something that many the sports enthusiasts, sports enthusiasts, Tom Brady, who said that he was stepping down, he was retiring from football, he wasn't going to do it no more, ain't going to do it no more. I've had a good run, I'm not going to do it anymore. Now my quarterback, who I figured should have been retired a while back, Rosenberger, he retired, and ain't nobody heard nothing about it. He said he was coming back. But Brady says he's coming back now. And everyone who's a free agent, the center now, who is coming back, he ain't worried about the money, but Brady's coming back, I won't come back. And everybody's trying to come back now because Brady is coming back to Tampa Bay.
Well, I'll get spiritual, Bishop.
Yeah.
The laborer is worthy of his hire.
Well, Brady's coming back. Now, this is what someone said to me. I won't call their name. But they said after Brady had spent some time with his family and had vacation here and did this and that, he said, listen, I can't do this for the let me just get back on the football field and play some more football. and you heard that Antonio Brown is talking about he wants to come back into football and play for the Cowboys. The Cowboys. He wanted to play for the Cowboys. I said, what? Antonio Brown? Who do you think's going to take him back? No team. You walks off the field in the middle of the game.
That's a whole different scenario.
Yeah, I mean, he thinks that he's going to play. He's a talented young man, football player.
He is, but no discipline.
No discipline.
No self-control. No temperance.
None of that. None of that. Lack of respect for authority.
Yeah.
So I mean, there we go again. We see a lack of respect for authority.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at this football stuff, man. I'm saying, okay.
And I'm excited about the Falcons possibly doing something different this time around. I won't get into it, but I am excited about just even the possibility of something different being done.
Well, when they talking about bringing him over to Matt Ryan to the Steelers, I said, listen, I will not be a Steelers fan again if he goes to the Steelers. All my years I've been a Steelers fan. If he started playing for the Steelers, I am gone. Did you hear that Colin Kaepernick is looking, they might go and bring him on to the Seahawks. He's been working out with one of the receivers because Russell Wilson is not coming back.
Yeah.
So now after all these years, he may have a possibility to come back and play in the NFL, which would be a good thing. Never should have been out of the game anyway because he spoke out. He spoke out about the injustice that was being perpetrated upon black people, and now they walking around with helmets on saying Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. You know what I mean? And justice. We want justice. We need justice on the back of their helmet. So what he fought for years ago, now people in the league are wearing helmets with messages about these type of things. So it would be good if he came back.
Yeah, I would be glad to see that too.
Yeah, I would be. So glad.
Anybody who stand up for our people, man, hey, I wish nothing but the best for them.
Well, we look, when we look at entertainers, we look at, sports players, whatever sports it is, because y'all lost Freddie Freeman. But he's a Braves fan. Baseball with that. Y'all lost Freddie.
Hey, but we'll be all right. We'll be all right with Matt.
But what you say? It deserves that.
Hey, I ain't mad at Freddie. Yeah, 162 big ones in 6 years. Hey, God bless you, Freddie. And Matt didn't do too bad coming on in here.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he got 8 years for 168 million, so he didn't do too bad.
Yeah, well, I know what people are saying. Y'all talking about sports now? Yes, we talking about sports now. This program we deal with everything: social, political, economic issues. We deal with all the issues. Things that people are faced with. But we got some sports enthusiasts out there that really like it. And the Hawks trying to come back up so that they can be in the playoff, right? And I was glad to see Trayvon Green back last night playing with Golden State. And that's my game. I'm like Keita.
Okay.
I'm like Keita. My wife and I, we love basketball. I love football. I like football, but I really like the game of basketball, and I watch all of the games. And when you see the checkers, how they moving players, and I'm glad that we got Capella from Houston. Houston went down after they lost Capella and Harden, and that team is not even rated anymore, right? No. And so, you know, I'm just glad to see what's going on. And you can't say enough about LeBron James. You can't say enough about him. You can't. The man is just ordinary, extraordinary. Yeah. And one of the things that I like about him and Tim Duncan, you know, Tim Duncan, who played for years, you never heard any scandals on Tim Duncan. No. Never, you know. And LeBron, the same thing. You haven't heard any scandals on him. Only thing people got mad about him for leaving Cleveland. Yeah. Go ahead.
And you got, and it's amazing. People they hate him and dislike him because he wins too much. I mean, it's just unreal. It's like they just don't like him because every team he goes on, they turn the team around and win. So, I mean, but what a great legacy.
Great legacy for him. Michael Jordan did all of his with the Bulls, but he's doing his with various teams. But he's getting a paycheck too.
Yeah, he's not volunteering.
Well, you know, Bishop, I'm glad we could have this straight talk today. And
same here, man.
That you can sit in with me today. And y'all keep Shanan and his wife, Claudia, in prayer. Yes. Keep his wife, Claudia, in prayer. Because pray for her because of the loss of her grandmother. But also pray for her because she's married to Shanan. But
you go mess with Shanan again, man. They're going through a tough time in their life, Bishop.
Yeah, I know.
This ain't the time to be cutting jokes on the man.
No, I mean, but I'm not putting jokes on the man. I'm just asking them to pray for his wife.
Bishop, they going. Come on, Bishop.
Okay. I'm gonna do this then. Claudia, we're praying for you. And you know why we're praying, other than praying for you for the loss of your grandmother and your family. But we're saddened for your loss of your grandmother, but we're praying for you for other things too. And well, hey, you've been in tune to Straight Talk with yours truly, Grreg, Fann, the preacher man, and my sidekick today. I stand in Bishop Aaron B. Legacy. Don't forget now, if you have any news or information you want to share here on Straight Talk, all you got to do is just email it to straighttalknews1362@gmail.com. And don't forget to like us, like the channel, and subscribe. And we'll see you next week right here on Straight Talk with myself and perhaps the stand-in or perhaps Shanan.
I don't like the way that sounds. Stand-in. Man, that don't sound. Nah, that don't sound right. Listen, we hope to see you next week on Straight Talk with Bishop Aaron Lackey, Reverend Shanan Jones, and perhaps Bishop Gregory Fann.
Well, y'all, we already know that ain't finna happen. Until next week, God bless you and heaven smile upon you. And you ain't been in tune to nothing but what? Straight Talk.
Want to be a guest on Straight Talk? Email Grreg Fann at FANN922@comcast.net or call 404-308-0795. Join us again for another episode of Straight Talk with Shanan Jones and Grreg Fann, the Preacher Man.